Today, we gather to discuss one of the most fundamental aspects of our democracy, the administration of free and fair elections. Across the nation, hardworking and dedicated state and local officials regularly address election administration challenges head-on. Today's hearing provides an opportunity to hear from some of them, highlight their important work, and learn more about how they successfully administered the 2022 elections. Under the Constitution, states have primary responsibility for the administration of elections. This is what our founding fathers intended. Our role in Congress is to support state and local election officials in this important work, rather than burden them with a one-size-fits-all federalized takeover that is ill-suited to the needs and priorities of various jurisdictions. In fact, the diversity of state-run election procedures is part of what makes disrupting a nationwide election effectively impossible. Upending that system increases the risk of error and creates vulnerabilities. In recent years, new election administration challenges have presented themselves, specifically regarding cybersecurity and threats to election integrity. Foreign and domestic adversaries have sought to disrupt our elections by attacking cyber and physical infrastructure. These same adversaries have sought to sow distrust in our elections and call the integrity of the democratic process into question. As these new issues arise, states are still tasked with the important work of recruiting, training, and retaining poll workers. This has become more difficult in recent years, as many of the most dedicated election workers and volunteers have retired. But while it is important to acknowledge that there were and are challenges to overcome, I believe that we should also take the time to recognize and to celebrate the many successes that have been achieved. In 2022, we saw marked improvements in election security. Many states took steps to bolster their cybersecurity defenses and ensure the integrity of the voting process. This included everything from ensuring that voting machines provide a paper trail for every vote cast, to conducting thorough audits and investigations to detect and prevent potential fraud. Today, this committee has the opportunity to come together in a bipartisan manner and hear from witnesses regarding their successes during the 2022 election cycle and their tireless efforts to improve election integrity. I believe it is our duty to approach this issue with an open mind and a commitment to finding common ground. We may not always agree on the specifics of how our elections should be run, but I am confident that by working together in good faith, we can ensure that every eligible citizen can exercise his or her right to vote, and that every eligible vote is counted timely and accurately. I am heartened by the progress states have made in recent years, and it is my sincere hope that we can work together to strengthen our election systems and foster public trust in the democratic process. I look forward to a productive and informative hearing and to hearing from our expert witnesses today. I have a question to address to Secretary Toulouse-Oliver, Secretary Evnen, and Mr. Knapp. In recent years, election officials nationwide have faced an increasing number of cybersecurity threats from sophisticated and also very malicious actors. Specifically during the 2022 election cycle, both Illinois and Mississippi experienced cyber attacks on their public election websites, which provide voters with that important information, such as precinct locations. While these attacks did not compromise voting systems themselves, this issue remains a serious and ongoing challenge. So if you could tell me, have your respective jurisdictions experienced cybersecurity incidents or threats, and what have your offices done that ensure that your state's voting systems and your elections are secure?
Thank you, Senator. We're fortunate in Nebraska that we haven't had any cybersecurity incidents in Nebraska. Nebraska was the first state to place an Albert monitor. This is a detection intrusion monitor system on the servers of a private vendor for our statewide voter registration system. And that, by the way, has now been replicated in 7 other states. In terms of our ballot tabulation machines, the computers that compile the results, these are air-gapped. They are not connected to the internet and for any purpose at any time. We've also placed additional Albert monitors in strategic locations throughout our state. And since 2018, all of our state's vendors that are part of our elections infrastructure have and continue to work with the Department of Homeland Security, in particular the Offices of Cyber Hygiene and Physical Security, for best practices. And those aren't offices, those are principles and profiles, cyber hygiene and physical security best practices. All 93 counties in our state are members of the Elections Infrastructure Information Sharing and Analysis Center. This is EIISAC. All 93 counties are members, and that is also a very valuable resource to keep up with the latest threats and the best practices.